Hi, everyone. My name is Cherise Michelle Davis, and I would like to welcome you to Pineapple Talks. So, 16 years ago, I was introduced to the word hospitality. It resonated with me, and it really just sounded so good to my ears. So much so that I even went to school to learn about it. I actually went to Johnson& and Wales University, Charlotte campus. So, from then till now is a whole story for another time. But these days, I am an adjunct professor at Atlanta Technical College, and guess what my subject is? Hospitality. So, as a way for me to help share content with my students and help paint the picture of the hospitality industry, and even have conversations with men and women who are in the industry to give insight to those who may be curious, I thought I'd start something called Pineapple Talks. And so, you are in for a treat because today you will get to hear from four amazing women who are serving up contemporary class and charm at the Charlotte City Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. So today meet Carrie Detling, who is the Director of Member Relations, and Julie Paransky, who is the Membership Director, and Emily Sapier, who is Director of Communications and Events. And then Lauren Gardner, who is also a Johnson& and Wales alumni, is the private events manager. So, ladies, welcome to Pineapple Talks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And let's get started. So, I want to have you all take turns and just share a little bit about the origin of private clubs, as well as, the origin story of the Charlotte City Club. Tell us about, what is it that's special about private clubs? What are they? Why do people join them? How do people join them? And then also just about the specifics of the Charlotte City Club and how it got started.
Carrie, I'll let you start with the origin of it. I think that might be a good starting point, and then I'll pick up from there.
Okay. Basically, the Charlotte City Club started as a men's business club. They wanted to meet and do business meetings in a nice, comfortable place. So they developed the Charlotte City Club, and it has evolved um, since 1947 to allow women, allow families. It's now multi-function club. We're a private dining club, but it's we do events, we do affinity club like wine tastings, beer tastings. So we've come a long way. We try to stay fresh with renovations to keep the club going. So all the way from 1947 and men's only to families, friends, and many many events at the Charlotte City Club.
So, about what private clubs really are, people pay to be a member of a private club. And when they pay to be a member of something, their expectations are immediately elevated, of course. So, one of the primary things that we like to make sure that we do is really personalized service for our members. And when someone is a member of an exclusive club, they have an opportunity. They're putting themselves in an environment where they're going to meet people and network with people that they otherwise won't ever cross paths with.
Mhm.
So, it's a really great opportunity for folks of all different levels of profession. So, for example, from the older, more established business people who are basically running our city to the younger, up and coming young professional members who want to rub elbows with those older folks and really find mentors for themselves. So, like Carrie said, there are so many different ways to really utilize the club, but it's a place where people pay to be a member. So they pay an initiation fee, and then they pay monthly dues. And then there is an expectation of food and beverage minimums as well. So there's a financial commitment to being a member of a private club, which is why once they join us, it's then our job to make sure that they are getting the service and the excellence that they expect because they're paying for it. So not only do they have an expectation of food and service and the types of people that they want to connect with, but likewise, when we're bringing new members in, we want to make sure that we are growing with people who are bringing something to the table as well. They're bringing something to the club also because we're growing with people who everyone wants to connect with one another. It's a really beautiful, beautiful marriage of what they need and want and what we offer and everything coming together really well. Girls, anything else you want to add?
That was great.
Yeah, that was really great.
Well, remember, I'm the membership director. I do these
Yeah.
every day.
Oh,
Yeah.
if I can add one thing too, Julie, they also join for recognition. When they walk in the door, it's my job to do my best to remember them and greet them by name, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Smith, Miss Samuelson. That's what they look for. It makes them feel at home at the
Yes.
club.
Yes.
Was it the Cheers show that was like, everybody wants to go,
Hey,
Yeah,
everybody name?
I will start singing for
yes.
you, so be careful.
I love it. I love it. That was some really, really great insight. And I think you all articulated that in a much more exciting way than the textbook chapter did on private clubs. So what I like to do now is move on to just speaking about the club structure, the organizational structure, and what you all specific roles are. And then because, like you said, it's a membership club and people pay to be a part. So what is the role that the members play, and then how do you all work together? Together and then, separately.
Well, I'll give a general overview quickly. Of course, we all manage our own departments, those of us on this call.
Okay.
So we do have um, oh, girls, what is it called? The outline
The
of
organizational chart, structure chart.
the flow chart. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Um, so actually, our members own the club. We are one of those clubs where we are member owned. There are a lot of private clubs out there that are owned by a corporation or owned by a handful of investors. We happen to be member owned, so they're at the top of the chain. Then comes our general manager, and then the rest of us fall under, we're managing our own departments. Um, so we all have a very specific role that we play.
Mhm.
As you know, I'm the membership director. My responsibility is to retain our membership, those that we have,
Mhm.
as well as grow the existing membership that we have. So I usually stay pretty busy, but um, the member role is that they own the club.
Okay.
We facilitate, we take a lot of feedback, we want all of their input, and we facilitate what we see and hear that they want.
I see. Okay.
What would you girls like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for events, it's the same thing. Our member events are kind of our top priority. We don't allow outside or non-members to host events with us. So we do have relationships with other clubs that we do allow them to have an event with us or a member sponsored event. But if you just had a couple that has no connection to the club, we have grown that part of our events world by creating our associate membership. So it's like a short-term membership. They don't have to join as a full-fledged member, but again, ultimately, the members are our priority. And so, kind of our loophole around to grow our events department, because of course, we want to make sure that that's full and lively. So we've have this associate membership where we can kind of get other people in other events in to come and join while still being part of our members. So I'd agree.
I love it. Really sounds like, that there's this family dynamic that's to it because it's a members only. So it's like if you're not in the family, you can't come to the family dinner.
Right.
But I think it might sound like, oh, that's, it's excluding other people. But I think another way to look at it is you're protecting, those that are in your family. And then if you want to join this family, then you talk to the membership director and then you can come to the family dinner.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
So, kind of like Julie was saying, we work for the members. So we've got a lot of events. I do all of our club events, and that would be events that members attend that they pay for separately, not a contracted private event like a wedding or rehearsal dinner or corporate function. Those are all Lauren's department, but I do the member events. So we've got a few that were born out of ideas from member feedback. So we've got a literary salon where they mostly talk about arts and culture and art installations in the theater, and right now things that are on, online movies or books and things that they like. But we also have a separate book club that's just focused on books. And I would think in another organization you might not have both, you would combine them, but because our members wanted to have two very separate things that are both revolving around literature, but the other one has an arts and culture aspect as well. We have that. We've got a group called Global Thinkers, which is a group of people who kind of get together to talk around the table about global economies, global politics, what's going on in the world, and how it affects us. And then we have our groups that Carrie and Julie alluded to earlier. We have our tasting focus groups for whiskey and humidor, that's whiskey and cigar. We have barley and hops, which is beer. And then our vintners club, which is probably our largest group. And then they decide what the tastings are for the next year. So vintners club is about to have a survey to pick the top tastings for the 2021 calendar year. It's not something we set. We send it out to them and let them kind of make the decision of what it's going to be, and therefore what the price point is going to be.
Lay down. Lay down.
Got it. Wow. I think I know, when I was interning at this Charlotte City Club, it was a new world for me. And so just hearing you say even some of the club names, I feel like I remember hearing those names during that time. But that's a total sidebar. But anyway, I love the member and staff dynamic that you all have at the City Club as well.
So I'll say one other thing about collaboration, at least within the staff. We all have to work very closely together. Some of our departments overlap a little more than others. So, for example, the four of us that are here with you today, our departments overlap, I would say, significantly day to day with the different things that we do. The four of us really rely heavily on one another to help one another, just support our different departments. I could never do my job without these three other ladies that are with us today. And I'd like to think that I contribute to their success as well. So without having that that relationship behind the scenes, and these are things that the members never see. They don't know exactly what all goes on into really putting on the club events or a beautiful wedding, or what Carrie does with member relations and making sure that our members know what's going on, or for me just bringing new members in. So the importance of working together behind the scenes and that collaboration aspect is critical. We won't be successful if we don't do that.
Yes. Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. So with working together, you all are, I was going to say COVID-19 has definitely impacted this year. And so how has working together pre-COVID and post-COVID, like what has that been like? So I guess pre-COVID, is a work day like? What was it, what were some of your challenges pre-COVID? And then maybe what were some of the challenges now that it's COVID?
Pre-COVID, every day is different. That's the beauty of the job, really. When you work in a private club, you have different requests and different questions and different problems and issues that we deal with. But we were all there together, and it's easy to run up to the club level and handle an issue. I think that all four of us here, as well as everyone else that works for the club, we do our best to give the impression of a duck gliding very nicely over the water, and underneath we're all paddling really hard and really fast to make sure that everything is operational and going well. Post COVID, certainly
Has changed a lot.
going from an organization and job functions that required us to be on site
No.
all the time in order to do our job. And now we have to figure out a way to do that from home.
Mhm.
It was certainly a transition, just like any organization, any industry, anyone who has a job had that same difficulty. But I'll speak for myself. I don't know about the other girls, but I somehow found a way to make it work for me and for my job function, so much so that I'm not sure that I will have as much success if I go back to the way I used to do it before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let me one more question. So you all the club is open, but are there limitations to maybe what was available before as versus what's available now for
So
the
right now we
Yes.
have dinner Wednesday through Saturday, which were our dinner nights before.
Mhm.
Wednesdays are a little lighter, but I'd say Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays are the same volume given the capacity restrictions. Right now, we're limited to 50% in the state of North Carolina. All the tables have to be 6 feet apart, but our tables are 9 feet apart, and we have a fancy new air system. Our general manager would get after me if I didn't mention, but basically, it's an ion system. It takes the particles in and like cleans them and shoots them back out. So our air system is really revolutionary, and it's a lot the same thing a lot of hospitals have. So we've added things like that, and I think that's what's enabled the volume to come back. And then from the communication standpoint, we added an entire page on our website about our COVID-19 protocols. We developed a 20-page COVID manual about, what we're doing. If this happens, then this is how we're going to react. So that way, God forbid, knock on wood, we have to contact trace. We've got systems in place where we're able to do so right off the bat without missing a beat.
Right.
Luckily, knock on wood, don't want to jinx anything. We haven't had anything yet. Our servers are wearing masks and gloves. We all take our temperatures when we come in. If
Mhm.
you have the slightest cough, you can go home. But that kind of thing. But we started again with lunch just on Thursdays and Fridays for the regular lunchtime period, still at that 50%
Mm,
capacity. And I mean,
no.
pretty well
No.
received. But a big part of it, I think, not to toot my own horn, but is how we're communicating it. And are we
Heavy.
instilling confidence of safety to
Get down. Sorry.
to say we've got your back, but also we want to keep our staff safe, so we're keeping both a priority. And I do think that's helping with members a lot. There's been a few private clubs in Charlotte that have had to shut down for a few week periods because they did have a COVID case or two or three. And
No.
so far we haven't had that. We've said to
No.
them, if this happens, this
Go
is how
down.
we're going to
I
communicate,
sit.
which has been incredibly helpful.
I see.
We've got a lot of members who are older who we are the only place that they are leaving their house to go to. They might
Right.
go to the grocery store. They're probably getting groceries delivered. But if they're choosing to eat out, they're only coming to the club because they know we're doing all that and more to keep them safe.
I love that you all are really taking it that seriously. And I mean, and really I feel that what you all are doing is going to actually become like the new standard for places. So and it just reinforces why you all have, been so successful for so many years. And I think were you going to say something, Lauren? Before I think you were talking about maybe your role. Was you?
I think I was just gonna add, in events, like how Julie, kind of piggybacking off of Julie, how she said, her whole world has gone remotely, like most, and for all of us, we are as well. Like if we're not at the club, we are working remotely and trying to keep our distance, between other managers and whatnot. But obviously, events is an in-person thing, so that obviously has just changed drastically, and things that we're doing and I don't want to jump too far ahead. I know we have our post-COVID questions, but it was just to talk about, for me in my world, it's very odd to be at home. I found that my transition at home has been all right, but meetings are obviously things are in person, tours are in person. It's much easier to show the club off, obviously, in person than versus just describing it or sending pictures and things like that. So we've certainly changed and pivoted to do all of that, but I think at least for things like that or for the events world, all that is much easier to visualize in person. So I've done a few tours here and there and things like that, but again, it's just a weird world right now to not have that just be the natural first thing to do versus like a Zoom call or, a conference call with FaceTiming, going through the club and showing them the new spaces. So it's all just very weird, but we're making it work.
Well, that's good. I love the optimism that you all have and, just figuring it out, making it work. So I want to maybe go back to pre-COVID for just a moment and hear from you all about what some of the perks are to working for a private club, or what's been a very memorable experience where you're like, man, I love this job. This is where I want to be.
Uh, I'll go really quickly. Sorry, Julie. For someone that worked in hotels for 6 years, the biggest perk is that the club actually closes. There's actual days where you'll have for us it's Sunday, so I know we have like a few things on Sundays, like Sunday brunch or something, but Sundays are off. We're closed. For holidays, we close or we have limited hours. So, like I said, for someone working in a hotel where you're just on the grind all the time and nights, weekends, holidays, it kind of didn't really matter because the hotel is open 24/7. The biggest perk for me is that we can actually close. I don't know if that's the same for you ladies, but for me, that was definitely something that I enjoyed for sure.
That's actually a great one. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought of that. Um, but in a previous life, I worked for the airline for many years, and yeah, we don't really close either. So every holiday,
Right.
every weekend. So I get that.
Yeah.
For me, I think one of the best perks is all the people that we get to meet, and not only meet, but get to know them. Um, I now know so many people in Charlotte that I never would have had an opportunity to again cross paths with, not only just to meet them but to really get to know them and know their families and have conversations with them. It has really enhanced my life. I know that sounds like a dramatic statement, but it has really enhanced my life, the people that I now am able to pick up the phone and give a call to.
Right. Exactly. I think that's a great benefit as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because you're creating consistent relationships too. Like a hotel or airline, people are in and out, and you may see them. You may see that consistent traveler once a week or whatnot. But like Julie said, you're meeting these people that are here every week, coming to all the events, coming to whatever. They're members for 10 plus years. That I agree. I think that's a nice perk as well.
If I
Is
can
there
add to that, if I mean it's a great perk. I get to know the members too, and I love it being the first person they see as they walk through the door. But that helps me enhance their experience too. So if I know, Sharice, you're walking through my door, I know that you love our sweet tea that we have. So I'm gonna let the server know, hey, she's coming down, get her glass of sweet tea ready to go, or whatever. Just I mean something as simple as that, or even if you have an allergy or something, that really helps me. So a work perk would be, I can help you to make your experience better at the club.
Yeah.
So that makes me look good. It all works
That
out. So
it
yeah.
does. It all works out. And how
I'd
about
say I'm working on my Cicerone certification, which is kind of like sommelier for beer. So it's nice to be able to kind of expand your beer and wine knowledge and get to taste here and there and sit in on the vintners clubs, or we have wine and beer reps drop by all the time trying to get us to pick up their newest line, and so we'll all get to taste it. And so that's been really fun because this is some stuff that I probably wouldn't order in a restaurant.
yeah.
Like last night we tried a sweet potato ale. It was pretty good. Not, I don't even like sweet potatoes in real life. So right now I've got a cat attacking my arm. You do work from home. But that's been a lot of fun. And then I think, we do get a complimentary lunch and dinner or whatever whenever you're there. So
Mhm.
that's really nice. Also, tried a lot of new foods that way that I probably wouldn't have ordered before. Our kitchen, especially when I first came to the club, like to joke that I have the palate of like a 5-year-old. But
Mhm.
we're really making moves. We're making a lot of progress on trying new foods because it's really fun to be able to be in this hospitality environment with different food and beverage offerings and to be able to try those. So I think that's really nice. And then this might be my department centric, but I choose to look at it as a perk, flexible hours. So if I've got an event that starts at 7, I'm not coming in at 8:30 in the morning. I'll come in later because I'm staying later, which means, I can take that mid-morning dentist appointment or, just kind of work my life around it. Need an oil change on the way into work. That's great because I have an event that night. And part of that does kind of free up your weekends a little bit more. And like Lauren said, we are closed on Sundays. And pre-COVID, I wasn't working a lot of Saturdays unless I planned an event and then I did it to myself. But the flexibilities in hours is really nice. We are working on, Easter, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, that kind of thing. So it's nice to have that flexibility in the regular work week.
Right, right. I've loved all of the sharing. And just as I was listening, if I could sum it up, it's good people, it's good food, and and peace of mind. Really, that's kind of what I gather from what you all shared about your perks. So I know that in the midst of the COVID crisis, I follow you all on Instagram. And I have been seeing all of these changes, beautiful changes that are being done to the club. So where are you all in the renovation process? And then what has that been like doing that during COVID? How, and then also maybe how has that affected your respective roles?
We're finally finished.
Yay!
So look for that on the Instagram within the next week or so. We're looking to move our service from currently in the ballroom, which is funny because, you know, pre-COVID, we would have never thought of dining in the ballroom as a
Hmm.
spectacular pro,
Hmm.
but it does allow us to have 9 feet between tables without any obstacles or, somebody being like stuck in the corner of the dining room. So it'll
Hmm.
be interesting to transition out of the ballroom into the real dining room now. But I'm really excited to put that on social media, and because people have been at home and they either couldn't leave their house at the beginning of this
Hmm.
or they're not comfortable or whatever. We picked up a lot of social media followers, which is kind of hard to do as a private club because, we have such a limited audience to begin with.
Hmm.
But we've got a lot of people watching those videos and they've been shared on local news outlets, and that's a little intimidating when you're just, just walking around the club and check out these new curtains. And next week we're going to do this. And then all of a sudden it's in a news article. But it's
I
been a
mean,
lot of fun to have that on
it,
social media.
it's interior design, and then because you all have been showing the progress now, like as someone who lives in a completely different state, I feel like I'm a part of the process with you all. So I guess that's why. I guess that's why. And then I'm curious to know, how have you all been doing personally with COVID? Like, how are you managing this time?
Oof, roller coaster, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, for me personally, I think it's just that, a roller coaster. We when COVID happened, we actually closed March 17th for almost 4 months. And
You
so
said
in that
4 months?
time, yeah, I think it was almost 4 months, right? Yeah, March 17th
Mhm.
to July 1st. So I think a little over 3.5 months. So for, me, the club's not physically open. So therefore, we're obviously not hosting any events. And a lot of that during that time was rescheduling events, cancellations, rescheduling events for the second time because, we weren't sure how fall was going to look like. So we had moved all of our spring and summer stuff into the fall and then beyond. And so that time when we were closed was really hard for me just because it was hard to see that light at the end of the tunnel because A, we didn't know when we were opening at that time. And then B, again, we can't do events. We have no idea what events is going to look like once we reopen. And we, during that time too, I feel like we kind of had a general plan or idea of what we wanted to do, but it really wasn't until that we opened, until we knew what the governor had put in place for mandates, that we knew what we could actually do and accommodate. So I feel like events has just had this crazy roller coaster of, yes, we can do this. No, we can't do this. Oh, your gathering limit's 10 people, but your wedding's for 250 people. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
Um, it's been challenging, very challenging. I mean, it's been eye-opening too to see how quickly people can move. I feel like we've done a great job with pivoting and changing and managing what we can do with the 50% restaurant capacity, what we can do with events, what we can't do with events. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of clients at least, have been understanding too and appreciative of, like Emily said, all of the protocols that we have in place, the masks, the one ways, the temperature checks, all that good stuff. We're no longer doing self-service food stations or beverage stations. It's all plated,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So, or chef attendant. So yeah, for me, it's definitely just been a roller coaster and
Mhm.
this gray area that stays gray, but we're making it
Yeah.
through.
Yes.
Mhm.
I know for
Well,
me,
go ahead.
oh, communications didn't stop. If anything, it
Yeah.
got way more stressful, way more time sensitive. Before I had this beautiful calendar of this is when we're going to send
Yeah.
emails. This is
You
when
had
we're
a plan. You had a plan before. Now it's like,
Right.
now we're just doing it as we go.
yeah.
Because if I waited to send that perfectly composed email on Friday, who knew what the statewide mandates were going to be by Friday?
Right.
And luckily, I think in Mecklenburg County, we were kind of just barely one step ahead of what the state was doing. So it wasn't a drastic change. It never comparatively felt like whiplash compared to what the rest of the state was doing. But there's a lot of emails. We got a lot more open rates at the beginning because people wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
Transitioning to home, we bought a house and we moved in 3 days before the state of North Carolina shut down.
Wow.
So, like everybody else and their mother, we were looking for a desk, a chair, a computer screen.
Mhm.
Luckily, the day the club closed, I packed up my monitors sitting right here and took everything. I ended up taking my computer chair from the club because sitting in a dining chair after 3 months just was not getting it. And my chiropractor said, "You need to do something."
You need to.
But yeah, it was really, really stressful. And to be the one communicating the sky is falling when the sky may or may not be falling was kind of scary.
Yeah.
I think now we had a little glimmer of hope throughout, like construction is an essential business. So construction at the club was able to continue on. So we were able to share good news with members throughout, which I found personally uplifting because it was a little rocky there in March when everything's fine, everything is shut down. Surely we'll be back open by Easter. Okay, not Easter. Maybe by Mother's Day. Definitely not Mother's Day.
Maybe 4th of
And
July.
then
Okay, maybe not.
exactly. And then coming to the conclusion that, all right, we're going to scrap the whole year and we'll start over as we can because this continuing to postpone events or, okay, we could do this with that was just draining. And once we came to the
Yeah.
conclusion, everything's canceled. Let's just start from scratch. It got a lot better.
Yeah.
My cat loves me being home more though.
Yes, I think all of our animals are happy that we're more present. Present.
Well, I'll chime in on this question. For me personally, it only underscored how introverted I truly am at heart.
Interesting. 'Cause you're a membership director, and so you have to connect with
It's
people
real,
and reach out.
it's really interesting. You are exactly right that nobody that knows me really would peg me as an introvert because of my job requires me to be kind of on all the time. But when I'm home, I don't talk a whole lot, except to myself or my plants. But I really don't. It didn't impact me, I think, as severely as some other people. My job, however, I fully expected membership to come to a screeching halt. Why wouldn't I? Who's going to buy a membership to a private club when our entire country is shut down in an unknown, unprecedented circumstance that nobody knows what's going to happen? Well, here's what's crazy about that. I've been with the club for over 12 years, and I have never been as busy as I've been in these last 6 months. Our membership has grown more than it normally would have, but certainly significantly more than we ever could have imagined. I became so busy and I had to come up with these creative ways. How do I sell a membership, like Lauren said, without being able to physically show the club? I made a virtual tour for folks that I could send in a PowerPoint presentation. Emily helped me with renderings of the renovation. It was all just kind of piecing it together as quickly as we could to try to stay functional.
Mhm.
And I was growing membership like crazy. And even my boss said, "What do you attribute this to?" And I said, "Well, besides the fact that I'm completely charming, and that's what people love, um, I don't know." So I
Yeah.
started asking people point blank, "Why is now the right time? Why are you going to pull the trigger on membership now?" And I consistently got the same answer, and that was, now more than ever, they wanted to be a member of a private,
Yeah.
control private club with a controlled environment
Yeah.
where they know exactly what they're getting when they walk in. Emily mentioned earlier that we installed, the silver lining to this timing was that we had our club completely ripped apart. So we installed this system into our HVAC
Mhm.
that almost completely cleans our air of any bacteria, viruses, anything, including the coronavirus. So as our air recirculates, it's coming back into the club very clean.
Mhm.
um, that along with our elevated protocol, people wanted to be a part of a club, a group, an environment where they know when they walk in, it's not open to the public.
Right.
They're very safe there,
Yeah.
and it really showed in membership growth. So yes, we've all had to work really, really hard, much harder, I think, than we would have otherwise. But there was a reward at the end of it.
Yeah, I think the point that you just made was really great, where you were speaking about what people are looking for right now, and like you said, pivoting, just really trying to figure out how to sell that to people. And I'm just amazed that your numbers have actually gone up this year more than the 12 years before. That's
You and me both.
so amazing.
I
Very
think
amazing.
I think part of it too is, I mean, the hospitality world definitely got hurt, pretty severely from COVID, but there's lots of businesses that are just as busy or have stayed busy where, people are, yes, now working remotely, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're working less.
Right.
And my brother is in the banking industry and he's been busier than he has, like Julie said, kind of than he would have normally been.
Mhm.
So I think that's a big part of it too, where not every other industry is struggling the way the
Right.
hospitality industry is struggling.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and then the last thing I would just say about this is the private club sector of the industry is still very different than like the hotel and then, you know,
Right.
restaurants only. So there are some things that you all can do differently that is helping you all to stay afloat.
Mhm.
And actually thrive, it sounds like, during this time as well. So I think
Yeah.
that's great. Okay, so I want to travel back in time just for a little bit and get some insight on the where you all are from, and then how you knew that hospitality or private clubs was the industry that you wanted to move into.
I'll go first. I'm originally from Ohio, but I've been in Charlotte for a very long time,
Mhm.
probably longer than all of you guys have been alive. I've been here
I don't think
probably
so.
over 40 years. I've been in Charlotte, so Charlotte is my home.
Okay.
Um, I never had the inclination actually to go into hospitality. I did work as a server when I was younger and I was in college. But for me, that was a stepping stone. And I just never had the inclination. I was in residential real estate before I got my job with the Charlotte City Club. And it just so happened that John, our general manager, was an acquaintance of mine. I didn't know him very well, but he was on my mailing list as a realtor, and so he would get all of my marketing mailers and the
Oh,
things that I did. And one day, out of the blue, he called me and said, "I have a position available, and
mhm.
I'd like to know if you'd like to talk with me about it." And really, even then, I didn't have any interest in changing careers,
Yeah,
but
because
I spoke with him about it,
that is,
and here I am.
yeah. So before you were selling real estate, now you're selling membership.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I just really like people. I
Mm.
really do. And so I knew whatever I did in my life, career, whatever it was, that it was going to be a position where I wanted to work with people. I could not do a job sitting at a desk working with numbers all day like an accountant.
Mhm.
That's great for an accountant. It's not good for me.
Yeah, I saw all of you all shake your heads like, yeah, no, that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So, yeah, who's next? Aha moment. Where you from?
Um,
Yeah.
I'll go next. I'm originally from Massachusetts. We've been down here now, I think about 12 years. So kind of creeping up. I moved down here when I was 15, so I'm almost breaking even with how long I've been in Massachusetts and how long I've been down here. So that's certainly weird. But similar to Julie, I don't think I ever really had a singular moment. where I
Mhm.
thought, hey, I want to be in hospitality. I knew I liked being around people. I knew I liked events and things like that, but I never really thought of being myself as being like a planner or anything like that. But I got a job in college that I worked for a catering company, and I loved that. I loved catering. And that's where it kind of grew my love for events as well. And I liked that I wasn't at just one venue at the time. You could go to different places, whether it's, someone's really nice backyard on the lake or the Mint Museum downtown or something like that. And I kept just finding myself getting more positions in the events world, or in the hospitality world, that I really liked. So I worked at Bank of America Stadium. I got a serving job with the Marriott downtown. And then I transferred from UNCC to Johnson and Wales because I thought, exactly, yep. I thought, I like something. I like being around people and I like being around in this world. So let me pursue that a little bit more. And then, like you, I got my internship at the Charlotte City Club as well, close to 7 years ago now. And I spent most of my time in the events department. And that's, I think, that moment, I guess, if I had to put a finger on it, was where I really felt like that's the direction I wanted to pursue. And then I left from there and did close to 6 years, a little over 6 years in the hotel world, doing events, but also operations. I was a banquet manager, kind of did everything, and realized, no, events is my area. That's where I like to be in. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I'll go next. I'm from Pennsylvania. I moved to Charlotte with my roommate from college. We decided there's too much snow up here. She was from New York, so we said let's go south, and we're both still here. Knew nobody, but we love it. Love the weather, and I kind of fell into hospitality. I vowed actually in college after working in the. I'm sorry about my dog. Working in the cafeteria that I would never work in a restaurant. And
Mm.
here I am 20 years later at the Charlotte City Club. I was much of a very shy person. Working at the front desk has helped me develop better social skills, not be so shy, be a little more outgoing, and I just love working with the people. So 20 years later, I'm here at the City Club. I'm here in Charlotte. And it's really well. It's really great down here. So
And I
yeah.
think one thing I would just say, just only because I've known you for so many years,
Hmm.
is that I love the love that you have for the club. I mean, most people don't stay in positions that long, but the fact that it still brings you joy is something that I
Hmm.
think is very, very special. And I think that says something about the others that work at the club and just what you all do there. The fact that they've been able to hold on to you for that long and you're okay with being held on for that long is very special.
Which the relationships play a very big part with the members, the fellow staff.
Yeah.
You develop friendships the whole way through. So
Yeah.
it's great.
And that's why I also love like having, when I started Pineapple Talks is yes, there's hospitality industry related things that are said, but there's still also life lessons that I hope that, others who watch draw from. So I think the big thing today is relationships. That is the key and the core to the club. And you need that for life, period. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Hmm.
So your aha moment, Emily.
So I'm from South Carolina. I guess I'm the only one on this call who intended to end up in private club. My degree is a Bachelor of Tourism with a specialization in private club management and a focus in events. Here I am. So went to the University of South Carolina. They have an amazing hospitality program.
Mhm.
Did that for a while. I was at a club in Columbia before we moved to Charlotte for my husband's job.
Mhm.
And it's probably not like the aha moment, that got me here because I literally went to school for it. But we had a member who was on our board in Columbia, and she was, you know, knocking down glass ceilings left and right. And she was a real champion for me as a young professional. And she's since passed on, but when she was first diagnosed with cancer, she came into the club and eating with our silverware made all of her food taste like metal because of the chemo. So we switched, we got, the really fancy plasticware. We got that for her. And, hearing things like that, and now in the back of my head, when I hear that a member is going through treatment, I'm like, do we have not, Chinese takeout plasticware, but do we have silverware tools that are going to, still have the same clubby feel, but meet them where they are? And
Mhm.
then to Julie's point, I don't think you can teach a hospitality personality. You either have it or you don't.
You don't.
And some
Agreed.
people are a lot happier, never seeing their client or customer. But I think that's something all four of us thrive on. And, having the opportunity to make small differences like that in somebody's life is why they join a private club. But it's not hard to go above and beyond for people to make them more comfortable, especially in a situation like that. And that's something that I really, really enjoy in private clubs. To Lauren's point, you may have a few regulars in another industry, but in a private club, everybody's a regular. And you really do get to know them and see their families grow up and really like develop those ongoing lifelong relationships with them. So I think that's probably my favorite part of hospitality as a whole.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. Is it weird that like my eyes are just kind of
So
watery?
I was like, let's keep going.
You
Yeah.
know what? Mine did too. I thought it was me.
Yeah, this wow, wow. So this just has been so much fun and just what's the word? Just full, just talking to you all. But I do want to wrap up with this last section where we're just talking about the later phase. So, what do you all foresee is next for the City Club, and then what do you foresee is maybe next for you individually?
Next for the City Club, yeah, does anybody really know the answers to that? I don't know. We're going with the flow.
Yeah.
That's about as honest as I can be. We have completed this beautiful renovation, so I certainly believe that we have great things in the coming years for the club
Mhm.
in every aspect of it, not only in membership growth, but in what we're able to offer to our members. And we are really elevating our level of service, our food, everything that we do. We're in a perpetual state of self-improvement. We're constantly striving to be better at our club. On a personal level, I plan on staying with the club and until I don't want to work anymore. So
Love it.
um, I'm not a young professional at this point in my life, and I feel like I have finally landed in a
I know,
place
it's
where
like you look like a young professional, but okay.
well, thank you very much. But I feel like I have finally landed in a place that is comfortable, that it makes me feel good, and I think that I'm good at my job, and that gives me pride. I take a lot of pride in it. So I'm as long as they'll keep me, I'm going to stay.
Yay. Awesome.
I'll go next.
Who else? Okay.
I think it's the same for me. Like Julie said, right now the club is just kind of going with the flow, and certainly that definitely includes events and what we can do kind of in the future. And once we open back up as a whole, to see what that looks like for events, we part of the renovation, we updated one of our ballrooms, so that's really exciting. And we've got a great culinary team that I think is looking, like Julie said, to elevate our food experiences. And that's definitely one thing members love, and especially members that host events with us, is that they love that custom experience where they can tailor service to them, their food and beverage to them. So I think we definitely have a lot of fun things coming up in events, and assuming events can get back to some sort of normalcy, whatever that looks like. I'm definitely excited to be a part of that. So.
That's good. Good, good, good.
But the club, going forward, we're all going to learn how to work and use our new renovated space too, as well as looking forward to the rooftop patio that is in the
What?
future.
A rooftop patio?
It's in
What?
the works. My boss, he might kill me for mentioning that because it hasn't started yet, but
Okay, but it's
it will
coming.
happen. It'll happen, yeah.
Yes.
And for
Oh,
me, I just
that's gonna be the
like working there. Cherise, you're gonna have to come back and visit and
yes.
check
I
everything
mean,
out.
yeah, like I want to come back for yes, yes.
No, you should. It's and I just love working with the members and continuing to know them. And with this whole COVID, it's been a little challenging because the masks throw me off. I don't recognize anybody. But if we can get to a more manageable state, then I
Mhm.
can continue the relationships in the building and just furthering it. So
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, it's future of the City Club. I think it's a really good time to be on the front of the wave of whatever is coming for
Mhm.
hospitality. I think we're probably going to say goodbye to buffets forever. I don't think that's a bad thing. So
Right.
it's a lot of fun to be one of the people making the decisions of how it's going to look at the City Club
Mhm.
5 months from now, 5 years from now, based on what we're living through right now.
Mhm.
And I kind of hope that the hand sanitizer everywhere and the curbside pickup and the
Yeah.
conveniences that really brought private clubs, to modern day technology stick around.
Yes.
Um, as far as me, like my degrees in private club management, for a while I thought I'd like to be at an alumni club. Like the stadium, Baylor Stadium has an alumni club inside. I've always thought that would be a really cool thing to do, but I really like Charlotte, so I think I'll be sticking around here for a good while. Like all y'all said, I'm not really into the snow, so probably not going to move up north anytime soon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of stick where I'm at, and it's a lot of fun, and the position keeps changing and evolving, and
Yeah.
it's never the same day twice. So as long as
Mhm.
that continues to be fun, I think I'll continue to be here.
Yay. Ah, ladies, this has just been like so amazing. I am incredibly grateful for your time and all of your insight and your sharing your stories. I mean, thank you so much for being available to talk with me today. And I know that others are going to really enjoy hearing from you and they're going to learn some things. And I do also believe that there will be people who will be inspired, especially even my students, that they may even consider choosing a career opportunity in a private club as well.
Thank you for choosing
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We
Thank you very
appreciate it.
much.
It is
It's
really
nice to be able to share a story and possibly help somebody make some big decisions in their life.
yes, yes. And I have to just say, Carrie, thank you because you really helped make this happen. I reached out to you and you opened the door for a conversation with three other ladies who are just wonderful and sweet, just as you are. And, just in hearing you all today, I was like, oh, I felt like, oh, I could work in the Charlotte City Club. Like I would just
Mhm.
love to be, around you all, and I know that that is what you give off to your members as well. So I celebrate you all very much, and just proud of the fact that you all are women who are, managing your personal lives, but you're also finding fulfillment in building a career, and you like it, and that's worth celebrating. So until next time, we'll have to touch base again, maybe, in the coming months and do a catch up and see how you
Yes.
all are doing.
Sure.
So I will just want to say thank you and we'll touch base again very soon.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Cherise.
Thank you,
Thank you, Cherise.
Cherise.
It's my
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
pleasure.
Bye.